Welcome to the Brutiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And not with us in the studio, but live from Osaka, Japan, Ron Keller.
What's happening?
Oh, I was really hoping for a konnichiwa.
I know. I was hoping for something maybe like saying that. And
I guess it's morning for you, so ohayo gozaimasu.
Ohayo gozaimasu.
Yep. So how are things out in Japan?
Japan is amazing. So I'm doing work and in my spare time I don't have very much spare time, but in my spare time I get to go hang out and explore some really amazing parts of the city. And I went and had sushi at Takahiro's, and this old Japanese dude, he's probably in his like 60s. His family is descendant of actual samurai, and he can trace it all the way back to the Shogun Wars. And he and I had about a 3.5-hour chat about life,
awesome.
Liberty, pursuit of happiness, history of Japanese culture, archery, all kinds of stuff. It was about 3 hours. We were just sitting around BSing, having a good time. And I ate blowfish.
That's so awesome.
of course you did.
Which is fugu. And that is the most poisonous fish people can eat, I guess.
Yeah, they have to have the certificate in the restaurant, right? That says the chef is trained to do this kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was proud to show it off. And blowfish is amazing.
I like it. He was proud to show it off, and you were like, and I'm happy to see you have
Yes,
that.
thank you. Yes.
Yes.
I'm glad you're happy to do this.
Yeah. Now, I know we've only got you for a short time because you got to go to work. So we're messing up our format a little bit. We'll get to the beer in a second. But before we get too far in, though, I do want to say it's cool, a little different show day because you're in Japan for the start. But also, this is our first show that will also be broadcast on the All In Sports Network, All In Sports Talk Network. So I'm very excited about that as well.
That's right.
Really awesome. 24/7 stream service, just all sports all the time. And we're happy to be a part of it.
And I wanted to bring that up so that anybody who was listening for the first time was like, do they usually start in Japan? What's happening over there? But that's what's going on. We got our compadre Ron in Japan. I was hoping we'd get you for a little bit longer on the show, but I understand work called you in early, so you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I can tell you that so work extended me, and that means I'll be here. I don't know. I'll probably be here till the end of November.
So we're going to do a few more of these.
But I've already looked up tickets to J-League games, which is the Japanese league. And they have a very thriving futsal league here, indoor soccer.
That's awesome.
From the professional aspect, they have 10 teams in the league. And there's a lot of players that play both. So I'm going to go check out some of those when I have a chance. And
who's your team going to be?
I think it's going to be Gamba Osaka.
Gamba Osaka.
You got to get some scarves back from that, man.
Yeah, I found a soccer shop here in Osaka that I walk past almost every day. But it's because my hours are so weird. It's always closed because it doesn't open till noon and then closes at like 8 or 9. And my hours are outside of that, so I never walk past it while it's open.
When you get back,
on one of my days off,
I expect you to be kitted out in some J League stuff when you get back. That's awesome.
Can you, if you see it, can you pick me up this year's, hold on, I believe it's their away kit. Kashima Antlers away kit.
Kashima.
The Kashima Antlers, their away kit is sick.
All right, I'll look for it. Kashima. All right.
Their badge has this, I don't know, deer maybe or something. Just these deer with this big antlers on it is their badge. That's my team in J League. Done.
Right.
That's just off the kit alone.
That's fair. It says I'll have to go do some research and find a club. That's awesome. So you're going to be there through end of November, so you should be able to catch a couple of matches then.
Yeah, I should be able to. And the end of November has not been finalized yet. Right now, it keeps like, oh, we'll need you another week. We'll need you another week. That's what's happening at the moment.
We'll see you in 2018 there,
Yeah.
Ron.
The downside is this: we have a beer festival this Saturday, dude, in
I know,
Orlando.
that sucks.
That we won tickets to. We got to find 2 other people to go with us, Ferris.
Yeah, we do.
Oh man, we will.
You should hold the lottery.
Hold it right.
Hold the lottery.
Hold lottery. Hey, everybody, you've got 4 days.
So we have 2 tickets, and we'll get all of like 1.5 people, like somebody and their dog will want to go. And all right, well, come on.
Come on. Let's
why
go
not?
do this.
So under Osaka, the original city of Osaka was built, let's say, at ground level. Then when the city was kind of ravaged by flooding from the ocean and storms, they decided the new Osaka, Shin Osaka, is going to be built above that. So the entire city is built on the remnants of the old city. However, they built what is called Osaka Underground, and it's kind of like underground Atlanta in the States, but it's huge. And there are all these like clubs and restaurants and all kinds of stuff. So last night I went to the underground after I got out of work and went to a Belgian beer garden, which has so many beers that you cannot get in the U.S.
Not jealous whatsoever.
Oh, that was gonna be my next question. We were talking soccer. I want to know what the beer scene was.
The beer scene is pretty good. Suntory is a beer like you can get anywhere. It's their kind of premium lager, and it's really good. All of the like Kirin Ichiban and Asahi and all of those are, I mean, they're good. They're way more fresh than we get them in the States.
I think it's contract. I think it's contract brewed in the States. I don't know that we get what they get.
I don't think it's no. I don't think it's from there. I think it's I think you're right.
Because like the Asahi, when I lived in Tokyo in like 04 through 05, it was the Asahi Super Dry. It was like my favorite. But it never tasted the same here.
Yeah, I'm astounded by how many beers from like Asahi, Kirin Ichiban, all that that we don't get in the States. There's 7 different types of beer that Kirin Ichiban makes. And you know what's cool? You can get it in a vending machine here.
Yes, you can.
What the what?
There's another one you should look at. This just struck a memory in my brain. I don't know if you can still find it, but only in Japan could I find green pint cans of Guinness, and it was a bitter. It was not the stout.
Huh.
And they were only... Yeah, I only saw it in Japan. It was green. It looked just like a regular Guinness, but it was a green can, and it was bitter.
Oh, I'm going to have to check that out. I haven't seen that yet.
Can you tweet out a picture of a beer vending machine the next time you see one?
Yes,
oh,
please.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We need that.
Yes.
Yeah, I can certainly do that.
It was kind of cool because, like, when I lived there, if you had a late day working and you were walking into the subway, you're like,
vending machine.
Let's go to the vending machine. Just grab an Asahi for the ride.
Yep.
That's so cool.
Awesome.
The vending machines also have hot and cold. So if you want to buy like a coffee, you can just buy a coffee and it'll be hot. So you can pick in the vending machine, you can pick from hot and cold beverages.
Oh, so it's not like 2 separate machines?
Nope.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's just getting cold here. Today's the first day that it's cold and rainy. But it's been, I don't know, in the low 60s and sunny the entire time. So it's been good. The beer's been pretty good. Since I'm being extended, I'll have better internet access now. And I'll be able to tweet more beers and things like that I'm trying. Because it's I don't do any of that on my work phone. I do it all on my personal. But since I was going to be here for such a short time, I didn't, go for the whole international thing. But now that I'm going to be here a month, now everybody will get to see what we're doing.
Dude, I feel like if you're there for Thanksgiving, you've got to find the expat place for U.S. folks to have like a Thanksgiving dinner at some bar or restaurant, because that would happen like in Tokyo. I mean, I never went to it because where I worked, there were a bunch of people from the U.S. So we did our own thing. But like the little paper they would like sell for people that were foreigners that spoke English. They would announce like places that they had hangouts for. That kind of stuff sounded so much fun.
Well, walking through the streets, people are already. First of all, Osaka is in full Christmas mode.
Oh, don't worry, we're here as well,
buddy. I was like, literally on November 1st, I met somebody over at World of Beer, and they were already putting up all the Christmas stuff in the plaza, like outside. I was like, oh my gosh,
whatever happened to Thanksgiving?
So there are things at all the bars and restaurants that serve Thanksgiving. There are signs out and A-frame advertisements sitting on the sidewalk, already advertising Thanksgiving. So I'll be sure to check something out.
I mean, I'm already advertising it because I love Thanksgiving. That's my holiday.
And just to make you slightly jealous, I'm sorry I'm like randomly hopping topics, but there's so much I want to say in such a short time. Last night I went to a hole-in-the-wall Japanese steakhouse, and the chef is amazing. I had an 8-ounce Wagyu beef steak with soy sauce horseradish.
Oh.
I don't think I should ever eat anything else again. It was incredible.
All of a sudden, those subs we just had
way home.
They're not so good anymore.
Not even remotely.
Oh man, that sounds amazing.
And I'm not typically this person, but I took a complete picture of the presentation of that steak because
dude,
it was brilliant.
Yeah, you're chilling on some Wagyu beef in Osaka. You're allowed to take some Instagram food photos.
So if you could do it for me and Blake, get that again, and then put that, and then wrap a J-League jersey over that. That way when we get the jersey, it'll smell like that, and then we get the food, and then we'll just be...
a little steak juice on the scarf, so when you wear the scarf, it smells good.
Amused.
Have you found any craft beer brewery? There was like one place when I lived in Tokyo, but again, that was like 2004, so I don't know if it's any different now. Have you found anywhere that has stuff like that?
No, I haven't. I haven't had a ton of time to look, but I have been paying attention. Most of the bars and restaurants, they serve either import, local, and by local I mean Asahi, Kirin Ichiban, that kind of stuff. I haven't seen much like this is brewed in Osaka kind of thing. I don't think they're. I haven't gotten the impression yet that they are part of the craft beer thing yet. Everything's imported. I mean, everywhere you go, it's American beers, German beers, Belgian beers. And
is there even a demand for craft local beers there?
Not that I've seen. Everybody's got, like 3 basic taps: Asahi, Kirin Ichiban, and then one other. And the one other could be Belgian, or it could be like a Heineken. That's pretty popular. So it's like they have 2 locals, and by local I mean 2 domestic Japanese beers, and then 1 foreign beer. It's kind of, again, I went to that Belgian beer bar, and they had more Belgian beers than I even knew existed. But there's not much of a craft beer scene.
Well, and I did notice you were able to watch some Premier League games. Was that on Japanese local TV, or were you online? What was the deal?
So the J League has 2 TV channels, and one it shows soccer from all over the world. I watched the Bayern Munich Dortmund game last night. Bayern Munich won 3-1.
Yeah, Dortmund did not play very well at all.
Yeah, Christian P had kind of an off.
Well, he actually was the best player on Dortmund that night, but
he was still off, so that says something. I watched a bunch of Premier League games. I watched the Arsenal match and the Chelsea match, and that's really. Oh, I got to watch 2. I got to watch some futsal while I was doing some emails. So they have 2 dedicated soccer channels. And what's really interesting watching Premier League games is the commentation is obviously all done in Japanese. But in the States, they tend to filter out the stadium announcements. Whereas on this, you can hear everything the stadium announcer is saying. So when someone gets a yellow card, or when, the stoppage time, or
there is an orange Nissan with your lights on in the in the parking lot. Lot G.
Jeremy, please report to the guest services kiosk. Your mother is waiting.
Mr. Braswell, please pick up the white courtesy phone. So it's interesting getting to actually hear the stadium announcements, and therefore, because they aren't cutting out the stadium announcements, you get to hear very clearly everything the crowd is chanting. Whereas in the States, you hear that they're chanting, but you can't quite make out everything they're saying.
Yeah, you can kind of hear the tune vaguely. That's about it.
Right. Well, this you can hear the actual words. So it's pretty interesting. So I do get to watch a bit of soccer, which is really good.
I'm definitely experience with definitely jealous of your experience with the blowfish, because that was something I tried like just a little bit of, but you had like a meal with that whole situation. Yeah,
it was crazy. I also had the 3 types of tuna: maguro, hamaguro, and toro. Toro is like belly fat on the tuna, and it's really rich in flavor, but it melts like butter in your mouth.
It's the best. It's so good. That I specifically remember because someone said, if you haven't had that, I was like toward the end of my tenure there. I was like, I guess I have to go. So I went to a sushi bar, and I was like, I want to try the toro. And like you said, you're just like, this thing just melts in your mouth. Sounds so good. So good.
Oh, it's amazing. Amazing. So, yeah, I have a lot more to do, so I'll be here for a bit more. And now that I'm on a bit of a schedule, I'll actually have some time off. So I made some Japanese friends at the place that I work, and they're going to take me up to Kyoto and show me where all the locals go.
Nice. Dude, you're going to love Kyoto, man. In fact, if you're that close, I bet you go there a bunch to visit. That city's awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So historical.
Well, gents, I'm sorry I have to cut this short, but I got to roll. I got to go catch a train. So I will leave you with one thing. Ferris sent out the content for this week's match and kind of, in my opinion, had a lame headline for the Chelsea match.
I was giving positivity towards Chelsea, but go ahead. Yours is pretty good, and yes, go ahead.
Probably because he was licking his wounds from how abysmally Manchester United played. So the headline for the Chelsea match is Lukaku, because he had 2 chances in the entire game and both of them were terrible.
I think the stat was he didn't even touch the ball in the penalty box or in your box the entire time.
Yeah. And we talked about on the podcast, I'm just dropping this grenade and then I'm going to go. So you guys get to talk about it. But we talked about when he was still at Everton, a bunch of podcasts ago.
Oh, did we lose Ron? If we lost him,
hold on.
You back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. We don't know what you said. You were like, I'm going to drop this grenade. So when we last talked, and then it just went out. And I was like, if you were going to drop the grenade and actually hung up or got cut off, that was pretty funny.
No, so we talked a bunch of podcasts ago when Lukaku was still on Everton that he has difficulty showing up against top-tier teams. And Manchester United have not had that hard a schedule. So he's been really good. Now that Manchester United is going into a little bit more of a rough schedule, it's going to be interesting to see if he just fades to the back against defenses that are better than what you've already been playing. So I I'm happy we won, and I hope for Ferris's sake that Lukaku gets his shit together. Oh, I just swore. Gets his shit together for.
I wasn't the first one this time.
That's true. Gets it together for top tier teams. And with that, you gentlemen have a fine rest of your podcast.
Have fun out there, man.
I intend to. You have a good time. Travel safe, and let us know when you think you might be back.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted on the schedule and all that is happening. I'm trying to get home before the big day for you, Blake, in November.
Okay, yeah. So, the due date's November 25th. We'll see how that swings.
Right.
I'll keep you posted.
Awesome. I appreciate it. You gents have a great day.
You as well, man.
Later, buddy.
Bye.
Well, I feel like there's Ron hanging out in Japan, winning, and his team's winning. I feel like he just won this conversation. Not that it was a competition. But
yeah, I want to just stop the pod now and go reevaluate my life right now.
No, I want to have some blowfish and have my Premier League team win.
Right.
So I suppose now that we've done this all out of order, we're clearly going to talk about Chelsea and Man U first, because now we've already opened the can of worms. But first, we should talk a bit about beer. But we won't go too long about the intro on this beer, because this is some of the last beers I've got from my collection of Lancaster Brewing Company that we've talked about in the previous episodes, that the head brewmaster, Mark Brownworth, brought a bunch of different versions to try. And this is a jam series of theirs, which is, again, a short run that they did of different varieties. So I will grab this real quick.
And so you don't know, if this is your first time listening in, we're usually all three in studio. And we usually, each one of us, each pod takes a chance to bring in a beer, whatever we want.
Yep. The other
doesn't have to be.
It's a surprise for the other two.
Craft doesn't be anything. Just a surprise. Mm-hmm. And then we do beer. We drink beer on the pod. Talk soccer.
Yeah, we got to give the beer a bit of review, and we try to stick with stuff that hopefully nobody has tried.
Right.
And I think this beer fits that. So from Lancaster Brewing, which we discovered is kind of cool because the history in Lancaster, Pennsylvania brewing, that during Prohibition, they found like people running like from warehouses, tubes out into sewers to try and keg beer so the police couldn't catch them and stuff. It's just an interesting like craft beer history there in Lancaster, PA. But this is the Jam series. Jamming on the one. It is their New England style India Pale Ale.
Oh,
pass this along to you.
Jam series.
On the back for their Jam series, like this multicolored can, it's got like a guitar headstock on it, and it's their New England style India Pale Ale. For hop fans everywhere, our initial Jam series release is cause for rejoice, with huge citra and mosaic flavor from a profuse dry hopping regimen throughout the brewing process. This straw-colored brew is downright hazy with hoppage and loaded with notes of grapefruit, citrus, and tropical fruit, with just a touch of sweetness on the finish. ABV is 7.5%. IBU's at 80. This is going to be a hoppy one, my friend.
A little bit hoppy in the house.
Yep.
Jam series is hoppy on 102.5 Jam.
All right. Well, before we talk about our teams losing, let's have a tasty beer and make ourselves happy.
Might as well.
All right, here we go. All right. Let's see what this looks like.
Ooh, it smells wonderful.
Well, and it is definitely super straw-colored, as the can denoted. Oh, man. Woo, that smells so good.
Nice aromas.
It smells like you opened a can of hops. Man, this beer is beautiful. Ron's always our in-studio photographer taking cool pictures of the beer, so I got to remember to take cool pictures of the beer.
Citra.
All right. Looks gorgeous.
It does.
All right, man. It looks like an unfiltered like wheat beer. It's so hazy.
And it looks like lemony almost, no?
And what did it say? It was profusely? Yeah, a profuse dry hopping regimen. Well, so that means
Citric
a lot of
and
the
mosaic flavor.
hops added later. All right, let's try this.
All right.
Cheers. Whoa. Man, this is going to sound weird. It's a lot of hops. I feel like I just drank a beer orange juice.
Yeah, but it's not overpowering hops.
It's not as bitter as I thought it was going to be. It is super citrusy, like a lot of grapefruit on the hop.
But really crisp and smooth.
Yeah. I mean, don't be wrong. It's bitter, but it's not what I anticipated.
It's not like bitter, like pucker in your face or anything.
Yeah. Like I thought something like more like a Stone IPA or something, but this is awesome.
I Likey.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Delicious. Well, shall we do this in reverse order? We'll get to little match week 11, match day 11 for the Premier League, and we'll just go in reverse order. We'll start with the last game first. So we were already talking about Chelsea and Man United. What else do you have to add to Ron's commentary?
He was right. Lukaku was Lukaku who? We said it when talking to Ron. He didn't even have a touch in the opponent's box, I don't think. Not good. And not that United didn't play necessarily terrible. They came out attacking. Both teams played the back five or the back three with the modified wing backs there. They didn't look bad in the first half. It was 0-0 at the end of the first half. And then second half, Chelsea were by far the better team. I don't know what happened, but they were by far the better team. And
I'm surprised it wasn't a larger point spread, to be honest.
I'm not, and I'll explain why here in a second. But it was a wonderful goal, a beautiful ball in by Cesar Azpilicueta, who just put a lot of pace on the cross. And when you get in a cross like that, by putting a lot of pace in, it gives the attacker, they don't really have to do a lot. At that point, all the attacker has to do is just kind of position the ball, whether it's coming off of his head, feet, knee, wherever, and just place the ball where he needs to. Because the ball already has so much pace on it that when it hits that knee, it's just going to bounce off, or the head, or wherever. And Morata did exactly that. It's not like Morata was right in front of goal. He was just outside like the penalty area, where if you step up to take a penalty shot and just got his head on it, didn't have to put a lot of power behind it, because again, the ball was just whipped in and placed it perfectly in the upper 90 corner and beat De Gea. Wonderful header from Morata, who had a good game and was feisty and was kind of all over the place. Wonderful goal, and that's how it ended. It ended 1-0 to Chelsea at the Bridge.
Yeah, I think Ron does bring up a good point, though, because that was like a complaint about Lukaku in his days in Everton. Was he was so good, and then he would just disappear when he played the top six teams. So we obviously we've yet to see if that's going to be the case. He's obviously got more help around him at Man United than he had at Everton.
Well, yeah, and with that said, we played Tottenham the week before, and we didn't do a pod last week, but United won that game 1-0, and it was courtesy of a Lukaku play on to Martial, where he flicked the ball on with his head, and he looked bright in that game and had a couple of shots, so he did have an impact in that game. And that kind of brings me to my point here, where Manchester United's last two games at home, where we've been very, very good, we won 1-0 against Tottenham. Chelsea away, where we have not played that great this year. We lost to Huddersfield, was in a very boring 0-0 draw against Liverpool, drew away to Stoke this year. We lost 1-0 to the Blues. The point I want to make here is I feel like both of these games were these teams in the upper top four. So your Chelsea's, Tottenham's, United, they're so close. Like, except for Man City, who's kind of just pulling away right now.
Yeah, they got the foot on the gas. Yeah.
But they're so close that it's a difference of a player here and there. And what I mean by that is Manchester United in the Tottenham game. Tottenham didn't have Kane.
Yep, huge
loss.
And Chelsea
had
to this
Lukaku,
point,
who ended up having an assist on that goal. So it's a difference of a player there.
And I would argue Chelsea, if you put Conte
exactly
in the situation,
my point.
Much
and
harder.
Guess who we didn't have though? Pogba.
Still no Pogba.
Difference of a player there in each game. Yes, Conte and Pogba aren't the same players, but this is Conte's first game back. Conte is such a fundamentally sound professional player. He knows not to go too high up the pitch and go with an attack. He protects the back four. He's sideline to sideline. He's wonderful. He protects that. He allows Cesc Fabregas and Bakayoko, who was awesome in this game, to play freely and play the way they want to play, which is a little bit more attacking and a little bit more box to box. Conte allows them to do that. They haven't had that. They got blown out midweek against Roma, I believe. They got killed against them because they didn't have Conte there. They didn't have anybody to help kind of sit in front of that back three, protect them, but allow the rest of the midfield to play forward. Our loss for Pogba is equally as important. Regardless of what you think of Pogba, if you think he's worth, at the time, the most expensive player in the world, he's a big loss for Manchester United.
Oh, the game is different. They play
entirely different.
Teams play Man United completely different.
And we haven't played the way we have in the beginning of the year since he got hurt. We haven't played that way since.
Well, do you also feel like Mourinho came into this going, Chelsea's, who they are. I'm going to just try to park this bus and take a draw?
No, because he didn't necessarily do that in the first half like he did against Liverpool. I think he does play more conservative on the road. That's kind of his style of ball, and he's more conservative because I think he realizes if we can nick something on the counter in a big away game and get out of there with a 1-0 win or a point on the board with a draw, in the long run, we win our games at home, we beat away the teams that we should beat, and then draw and or win against the top 4, top 6 clubs, we have a good chance at positioning ourselves to win the league. So I think that's his mentality on it. A lot of people disagree with it, but this man's won everywhere he's been.
But here's the thing.
He's won in Portugal, he's won in Italy, he's won in Spain, and he's won in England.
There's nothing
so
wrong.
The man's done something right.
There's nothing wrong with the mentality. The only thing is this season he's got a Man City in this group. If you pull Man City out of this situation, then you could say what he's doing is fine. It just feels like Man City is slowly pulling away, much like his Chelsea did at one point, where it just was obvious that no one was going to catch up.
And he was kind of asked that after the game, and his response, I think, was interesting. He basically said, I don't know, I'm paraphrasing a lot here, but the reporter basically said, are you concerned with the loss today that you're losing ground to Man City in the title hunt? And his response was kind of, we're still second. I can't do it. That sounds more like
Arsene Wenger.
Yeah. He says,
we're still second in the 19th minute, the 76th in the 89th.
In game 11, match week. His response was, we're basically second. Every other team is still below us. So I think with that response, he's kind of saying we're still within touching distance. If we stay in second, we give ourselves a chance. It's a long year. It's game 11 out of 36. Still a lot of games to be played. We'll get to Man City here in a second. So I wasn't too disappointed with this. Playing away at Chelsea with Conte back in the side, I think a 1-0 win, it was fairly tight for most of the game. They outplayed us in the second half. We came on there towards the end. But
here's my takeaway though.
We lost 4-0, 4-1 last year this time, and then we beat them at home. So I'm not too concerned with it.
No. I do see two teams though that are going to struggle against a Man City. But I am going to move on because as we work our way backwards to the Premier League, because I do want to because we got a lot of MLS action to talk about as well. So working backwards. Everton, Watford, probably the game of the week to watch.
Oh, yeah.
It was on NBC Gold. It was not on, so that was I think that might
have been
the same
same time as the Manchester United and Chelsea game, which.
It was, right. But the Watford game, so I had that sitting on my iPad while I was watching the Man U and Chelsea game. What a match. I mean, it's crazy Everton. I mean, what a stupid penalty that was for Watford to give away and lose the game. But I don't know that I would get that excited if I was an Everton.
I wouldn't,
because this is. I mean, they were like, is this something? I heard someone is this going to be the turnaround? Oh no, you gotta. Ooh.
Everton were lucky to get out of this with all 3 points. I think, as you mentioned,
they had gotten a draw.
Watford had a penalty real late in the game. There was 90+7 or something, and in the 90+5, they had a chance.
They could have
to tie it up.
And
Tom Cleverley just pulled it way wide.
He shot it back to his other goal. He was so wide. That was just abysmal.
Captain of the team and just pulled it. But
in fact, your headline was, "You kidding my ass?" Everton won, but it should have been like cleverly not so clever, because that was just, man,
not at all. And I think Everton won fortunately. And what I mean by that is it was in fairly early in the game. Aurelio Gomez, the goalkeeper for Watford, who was their number one and a very solid goalkeeper, got injured on a play where he took a knee to the head and he did not look right. You know, that's scary. I hope he's okay, you know, going forward. But he went out of the game fairly early in the game. That brought in their backup. Their backup did not look like he was ready to play that game.
No.
With their first goal, he came way out, and that was on him. And Niasse made the best of it, and the ball kind of he really didn't, just kind of rolled in there. It wasn't really, he didn't like go around the keeper and then shoot it. Like the keeper came out, made a mistake, and the ball just got in the back of the net. And then on the second goal as well, he made another mistake on that, I think it was a corner, and just he got tied up, and he wasn't aggressive enough to come out and get the ball. And he's got tied up, and that changed the game, because that was Niasse. Okay, so Watford was up with the Richarlison goal in 46th minute, and a Cabalisi goal in the 64th, and then Niasse goals in the 67th, Lewin in the 74th, and then Leighton Baines with a 90+1 penalty. Stupid play, too. Stupid penalty
dumb
to give up. And then Watford, even then, still had it.
Still almost, because dumb penalties. Everton had one. Yeah.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be that excited if I was an Everton fan.
Here's the thing.
Great.
It got them out of the relegation area, which is mentally an important thing to do. So we'll see if they, can build on that. But I got to be honest, the way Everton's playing, I think to the end of the season, that is going to be a fear for Everton fans.
So do they...
Relegation, I mean.
Yeah, do you think they bring in Dyche? I don't know.
Yeah, because obviously there was some managerial news as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I heard a name, and I think it would be a great fit for Everton with the squad that they currently have, which is a fairly attacking team in terms of Rooney, Lewitt-Jackson, Lewitt.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
Calvert-Lewin, Sigurdsson. You get Balassi back here soon. Thomas Tuchel, the old Dortmund coach.
Well, I was going to say
currently jobless.
The other one that had been floating around on who liked to play attacking, I know they're struggling this year, but is oh my gosh, I just lost it. Bournemouth's coach, Eddie Howe.
Eddie Howe?
Yeah, that was another one that had been floating around a whole bunch.
And he's kind of cooled off a little bit, because he was a real hot property last year when Bournemouth were doing well, playing very expansive, which they continue to do.
Hey, at the end of the day, he still pulled off what he pulled off to get Bournemouth into the Premier League. And I would argue that he's got some players letting him down. Callum Wilson let him down in this past game.
But you can't be too hard on him right now.
I mean, I know
he's coming back from his second terrible, possible career-ending,
but
injury.
Well, it was just it was not a good day for him. So I don't know. I don't know who Everton gets.
Do you keep the interim in there for right now?
Well, they'll probably pull a Craig Shakespeare, and if he wins the next one, they'll probably keep him on. They'll be scared to change anything.
Yeah, I guess.
So that moves us up over to the other side of things with Arsenal and Manchester City. I mean, here's the thing. As an Arsenal fan, they lost 3-1, but I didn't hate the way Arsenal played. I didn't I didn't watch a game where I went, I am so mad at how they're playing, because I just felt like I was watching Man City be phenomenal. They just looked so good. What we have said in the last, however many, 72, well, I guess not including the last 10 episodes, but in the previous seasons leading up to this one, we've talked about how, gosh, there's all this talent on Man City, and it's like an MVP team, but they don't know how to play together. They look great. They just look great. And Yeah, I just felt like I was watching a really good team play a team that was, a good team.
In fairness, Arsenal did not play bad. But Wenger should be fired just off of the basis that they played 2 big games against Liverpool and against Manchester City. And each of those times, he did not play their big summer signing striker. He did not start them.
What does that say? Is there something he doesn't have faith in, Lacazette?
I have no freaking clue.
Good.
But
That's the man.
right. You look at it, he came out and said, we're going to try a different formation. And they played well. They went after City, and I think City got a little bit fortunate with the soft penalty. And there was another, there was an offsides on
there was a goal.
It was a clear offside.
Yeah.
So City did get a little bit fortunate, but when you're playing the way they do and it's rolling the way they do, you kind of catch all of the breaks there. But the beginning of the game, Lacazette and Giroud on the bench, and you're going, what the
That headline
again, for the second time this year, you're going, what in the hell? Like, you're big, and what does Lacazette do when he comes on? He puts the ball in the back of the damn net. So why is he sitting on the bench in these big games that Arsenal play? Like, Wenger should be fired off of that alone. Like, if you go down with the players that you bought, fine. Like, okay, you at least tried to play the big name, the people that you brought in. But now you bring him in the summer and you sit him on the bench.
So what's
in
going
two
on,
of your
though?
biggest games? I have no freaking clue. I think he came out and said that Lacazette has to get his feet in the league and he's not quite up to the Premier League. Bullshit. He came on and scored.
Yeah.
And he already has, 6-7 goals? Like, no, he doesn't have to get his feet in the league. Play him. Play him with Sanchez. Play him with Ozil. Play him with what was it? The game before last, they won 4-2 or 4-1 or something like that. And all 3 of them played. Yes, it was against Everton or whoever, but go at City, which is what they did, but put your big name striker in.
Also, I felt they waited way too long to put Giroud in. He's been a super sub, and I felt like they waited way too late.
No, but Giroud should be coming on as a super sub for Lacazette. Mm-hmm. Or to play beside Lacazette. You're not bringing both of them on in the second half and then try to do something. That's a spark way too late there.
I still say though, watch Kent. Man City looks phenomenal. They look so good.
Oh, without question.
I mean, Kevin De Bruyne. Jeez,
he's the best midfield player possibly in the world right now.
He's fantastic. So I mean, Man City. And then not only that, when they start making substitutions and you realize who's coming on.
Oh God, it's
Jesus and everybody. You're like, I mean, these are the people that are coming on as substitutes. Like, it's
half of them would be automatic starters in every other team in the league. Literally every other team in the world.
Any team, yeah. It's just disgusting. So, I mean, last year the conversation was can he adjust to the Premier League? I think that has been settled.
Here were their subs: Gabriel Jesus, Bernardo Silva, Ilkay Gundogan.
Yeah.
And on the bench, they still have Yaya Toure and Danilo. And they still have people hurt, by the way. So they still have other people they can bring in. Oh, God. They look real good. It's going to be
They're 8 points ahead right now? Is that
yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah, 8 points ahead at this point right now at 31 points. And a goal differential of 31.
31 after 11 games.
That's just crazy. Man. Holy. Oh, we should have mentioned Everton to bump themselves up to 15th with 11 points.
Still only 2 points off of the drop zone.
Speaking of teams in trouble, now that I mentioned Everton, how about that other team, that they are in that area? Liverpool, not in the area of trouble, but near Everton geographically, go to play against West Ham, who are in London struggling. They are struggling.
Yeah.
And Liverpool decimated them 4-1.
This is kind of this season Liverpool's MO. A lot like Manchester United at this point, where they have smoked the West Hams and Huddersfields.
Remember, though, last year was different. Liverpool was destroying the teams in the top 6.
Yeah.
Like, that's who they were beating. I mean, Liverpool, well, they had Sané back. I mean, so that was huge.
They did, and he helped. Salah had a brace, Matip had a goal, and the Ox got on the score sheet. But yeah, they ran all over West Ham, and they countered really well in this game. I think the first goal was off of a corner. They just broke, and when Liverpool breaks, they break quick, and they have the players to break. When you have Salah, Sturridge,
I said Son. I meant Mane. That's
and Sane. Oh yeah,
I said
Mane. When they're running on a counter against one or two backs, they're going to win every time, and that's exactly what happened on the first goal. Like they tore West Ham apart.
And the Ox scored. Where was that crap when he played for Arsenal?
Which it was actually a good first save by Joe Hart.
Yeah.
Joe Hart stopped that and just unfortunate bounce back to the
poor
Ox.
Joe
And,
Hart.
Joe Hart, despite being 4-1, Joe Hart had a pretty damn good game.
Well,
Like he
like,
made some saves. He was all over the place, but when you have no defensive line and Mane and Firmino and all these people are throwing shots at you, you can only save so much.
You've got I accidentally skipped a match. I realized going through this.
We'll go
But yeah, your headline for this is Bilic sack now on Salah, courtesy of Liverpool. Is that supposed to mean he's on sale?
Well, because our Nacho sack, we had the
Bilic
sack, right? The Croatian sack or whatever we were. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, the Nacho sacks losing some value after Nacho Montreal's performance against City as well.
Yeah, and collect a Nacho for
The Nacho sack, the Bilic sack special.
On sale. It was
And that was a pretty quick turnaround. I mean, not that any of us were shocked that he was gone. And
gone.
Did they already announce Moyes?
They did. They announced Moyes today, I
So-
believe. Today or yesterday, maybe?
Okay. I mean,
It could have gone worse.
Sure, he could have kept Bilic. I don't really know that.
No, I think it was the right call. I think Tony Sounds Good hit us up on Facebook kind of saying, is this the right move? At this stage, yeah, I think it was. You're
something,
You're
I
in the
guess.
drop zone. You're minus 12 and sitting on 9 points, and you're West Ham playing in the London Stadium.
And West Ham officially drops into. Yeah, they drop in now.
You've played at least 10 games.
They're 18th.
You brought in a lot of people, and you brought in Zabaleta, Joe Hart, Arnautovic, Javier Hernandez. You brought in a lot of people, and so yeah, I do think he deserved to be sacked at this point. They gave him a chance to turn the ship around. Not happening. Moyes, a lot of people forget he kept Everton in that 6th, 7th, 8th range for several seasons, and he turned that club around. He did a very good job with that club, which is one of the reasons why he got the Manchester United job, which is a little bit of a poison chalice after Sir Alex left. I think anybody could come in at that point and wouldn't have done very well. And then he kind of picked some bad jobs after that, but I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's a pretty solid hire, and I think here's the thing: all he has to do,
You just got to keep him from getting relegated.
exactly.
That's all. But good luck with that. Because
You have no back line,
Yeah.
so good luck with that.
yeah, good luck with that. Speaking of relegation, Tottenham and Crystal Palace. Tottenham at home win 1-0 over Crystal Palace.
Palace played the better game though. I feel like
Yeah, I
they
mean,
had a lot of chances.
but I think that's the difference. Teams that are great manage to win when they don't play that well. And
Yeah, Tottenham at home doesn't look that good in the
no, but
in the
Crystal
league.
Palace looks a lot worse, sitting at 4 points after 11 matches.
I think it's a little bit harsh as of late. I think they have played better. They got their first win. And they had a lot of chances in this game. And yeah, you're right. Tottenham just hung in there, didn't play their best game, kind of started an odd lineup. Got the win. One Sarameda.
Yeah, what was your headline?
Juanita, one Sarameda. I was having a Pacifico doing the content.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's a couple of Spanish.
I got you. I was like, well, I don't
Son
understand this
Heung-min
headline.
scored 1 goal. One Sarameda. Juanita, one Sarameda.
So that's why you were drinking some Pacifico during these
Yes, I
headlines.
was.
All right, that brings us up to Brighton Hove Albion 1-0 over Swansea City. Swansea.
The Saturday 10 a.m. games were all about the 1-0.
Yeah, 1-0.
All of them were.
Boom, all of them. Brighton Hove Albion still, 30. What is your headline?
Glenn Murray, right? 34 years old, now has 4 in 3 games.
34 and 4 and 3.
He's going to single-handedly keep Brighton up this year. Because Brighton right now, listen to this. Brighton Hove Albion in 8th.
In the friggin' place.
In the Premier League, 8th place.
We're talking about West Ham, they're 18th.
Right. Exactly.
Like, Brighton Hove Albion. And
the
right now,
34-year-old is going to keep them up single-handedly with his
all
goals.
the promoted teams might survive this year, which hasn't happened in the last couple of years.
Yeah, you look at Huddersfield Town, which we'll get to here in a second. They're up at 10th.
Yeah. And they're
And Newcastle's right behind them.
Huddersfield at 10th playing scrappy.
Scrappy.
But Brighton Hove Albion just sneaking right on up to 8th place. Who would have known? Swansea Crystal Palace looking like they're the guaranteed to go at this point.
I think Swansea could get out of it. I think Paul Clement's a good manager. They have some good players. I think Swansea may wiggle out of it barely.
And, West Brom has always stuck in that 10th spot. And this year, that's going to be a harder thing for them to pull off.
Yeah, well, a lot of people calling for Pulis's head.
Pulis's for Tony Pulis's.
Pulis's.
Yeah, that's hard to say. Tony Pulis and Christian Pulisic. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Can't say that 3 times fast. So this moves on to Southampton and Burnley. Speaking of teams creeping on up, Burnley at 7th right now with 19 points. Starting to see that gap happen between the 7th and 8th the teams in terms of the table. Burnley, Sam Vokes gets one of the 81st. Burnley, I love your headline. Burnley up to 7th now. Explain to me why Dyche would want to go to Everton. That's my thought. When they said Everton will get Dyche, why would you do it? Right now,
at this point,
Burnley is playing well enough to try and compete for a slot in Europe.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money coming to the club. Why would you? No.
And I get it. Everton's technically the bigger club.
But, a club on decline right now, though.
You could put Burnley. Yeah.
A club in decline. I wouldn't. That's not something I would jump on.
I agree.
Yeah. No. I think because if he can get to Europe, he can restructure a deal, get some good chunk of change. And
God of Burnley.
As long as Dave Fishwick is still sponsoring stuff up in Burnley, we're all good. Then Bournemouth, Newcastle, big win for Bournemouth. Boy, the Cherries needed this in the 92nd minute of the match.
Stephen Cook.
Wow, what a Bournemouth cooked the Magpies late. I love it. That's a good headline. I like that one. So Bournemouth move up to 17th, just out of relegation.
They popped out of the relegation zone, yeah.
So they are 10 points after 11 matches with a -7 goal differential. Newcastle, though they have lost, they're sitting at 11th. Again, Newcastle and Huddersfield, Brighton Hove Albion, these are teams promoted. I just don't see these clubs going down.
No, and Brighton and Newcastle on an awesomely 0 goal difference. Not in minuses, but a 0. That's pretty solid for newly promoted teams. Usually you get a minus.
By the way,
or they're in like the plus range, maybe. But
who else has that?
Just right on there.
Brighton Hove Albion.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch you say that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Both the newly promoted teams sitting on that 0 goal difference. That's big at this time right now.
No, that's huge, and it doesn't look like any of the new teams are going to be the ones that end up going down.
Especially when you have teams like Everton -12, West Ham -12, Crystal Palace -18, -9, -7s. Like,
well, and speaking of the newly promoted teams, Huddersfield beats at home West Brom 1-0. What is this headline?
Paralabamba.
I see what you did there.
Brave van La Parra,
who
is actually not Spanish whatsoever. He's Dutch.
No, but
he scores the goal.
I don't know a Dutch song you could have put that to. But yeah, 1-0 Huddersfield. Again, another team, they're sitting at 10th with a -5 goal differential, 15 points. Sir Patrick Stewart's club looking good. The Terriers.
Captain, leading them on.
Yeah, the Terriers are making it so. And they're a fun team to watch play. They're scrappy.
And they held on to that 1-0 lead after Christian Schindler, one of their big signings who basically gained them promotion last year with his penalty kick, sent off fairly early in the 57th. And Huddersfield held on at home.
Held on to the win. That's huge.
Yeah, big 3 points.
And then last but not least, which actually the first match, was Stoke City, Leicester City, 2-2.
Fun match, actually, to watch.
I love your headline. Crouch plus head equals goal.
Boom.
A really fun match. Stoke needed that point. desperately.
And where would Leicester be if they sold Riyad Mahrez? He has to
buddy,
contribute to well over half of their goals this year,
you,
if not more.
If the rumors had occurred, Riyad Mahrez had gone to Arsenal or somewhere else, I think Leicester was relegated. I don't think.
Yeah.
He's just been too instrumental. I mean,
absolutely.
And now that Chelsea's got Conte, that's who they should go after, because just complete the collection over there of all of them. But will he be able to hold on to Mahrez this as we move forward?
I think if he keeps playing the way that he does, has another very productive season, he could go in the summer. I don't see him going in January.
And not as factor in this game, but Vardy's definitely picked back up as well. He was a little quiet there for a while.
Yeah.
Now it's all all mine, all effing mine.
All chips and
pints on the plane, or pints and pints and chips on the plane. That's my Vardy impression.
That's every English impression.
I don't know what you're talking about. I pride myself in being able to do good British dialects, but except on this show, they're just two that I use.
And I've actually heard you do a lot of those
because that's Vardy. That's also my Ice Rooney.
That's your Rooney. That is your
Arsene Wenger. We left something out. I'm gonna before we're gonna do the beer in a second.
Yes.
I hate Ron's not here, but I only had a 4-pack, so I'm glad that we got a 4-pack while he's gone.
Bingo.
But before we move on to MLS, Arsenal coach there, or manager Wenger, little trouble because he lashed into the referees following the game pretty hard.
You know what though? I don't mind that. I think that was good action.
Well,
on
because
him.
little passion,
He basically said, "Raheem Sterling goes down easy."
Yeah.
The rest missed the offsides. Right on with both of them, actually.
Yeah,
I think he said that he dove or something.
Yeah, he dives, he falls in. But he said something to that effect. Yeah. But there was some thought that he could get in a little trouble because he called out the ref.
I'm sure he will
by name and everything else. But
good for him, though.
I think the club.
Hey, how about you start Lacazette and Giroud?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, right. How about care before the game starts? Care then. Well, my friend, I think we should move on to MLS playoffs. Playoffs. Let's get another beer.
Yes,
I'll let you start on the playoffs while I grab the beer.
Playoffs. So we've been a little bit. We started off just kind of predicting the first round of games. We're way past that now. We're at the conference finals. Gracias. We're at the conference finals. Are set for the MLS Western Conference Final. You have Seattle Sounders, which is the number 2 seed going into it, will take on Houston Dynamo.
Yes, they will.
Houston advanced.
I'm going to take
surprisingly.
on this New England style Indian Pale Ale from Lancaster Brewing.
What? Speaking of which, did you see the news?
I want to bring that up just because this beer is so good.
Did you see the news of New
Brad
England?
Friedel.
Reports Brad Friedel accepted the head coach spot for New England. So that'd be very interesting. New England not in the playoffs, which is probably why they're looking for a head coach. But Houston actually advanced very awesomely, if that's a word at all, against Portland in Portland. They won on aggregate 2-1, but all three of those goals were in Portland, which means not only did they win the game, they got the away goals in Portland, which is a very hostile place to go. And Portland was the number 1 seed. Houston's number 4 seed out of 6. So big win. Seattle advanced, as you kind of thought they probably would, advance on aggregate over Vancouver. I believe both of those goals were scored in Seattle, in Citi Field there. So the Western Conference, all the games will be played. We're going into international breaks, so they'll be played. That game, the first leg of that game, it's a 2-leg matchup again. First game will be sometime, I believe it's the late game in on the Eastern time zone on 11:21. And then for the Eastern Conference, you have no surprise here. Toronto FC, the number 1 seed. They advanced via a 2-1 win over the Red Bulls in a kind of a feisty game.
But let me ask you, did they advance and win a battle but lose the war?
I agree, because they now have
no Altidore,
no Giovinco, no Vasquez. It's 3 big players.
And guess who they're playing?
Only in the first leg.
And let's go and talk about who they're playing, though.
This is awesome.
They're playing Columbus hashtag Save the Crew.
Yes, please.
After Columbus obliterated NYCFC 4-1. This whole crap going down with Columbus and, moving the club and trying to, say they were being loyal to the fan. It's what a mess it's all been. But, I think we said it, and sorry again, we know we got a bunch of listeners in Atlanta. You know we love you. But I was kind of rooting for them against Atlanta because I said, man, with everything going on, I just want to see Columbus go all the friggin' way.
Yeah, and they beat Atlanta in Atlanta, which is cool. But no, I completely agree with you. And
I mean, as a neutral, that's a fun story.
yes.
Yeah.
And Columbus beat NYCFC, who was the number 2 seed, and big name players, David Villa, Pirlo, who's now retired.
Yep, that's it.
Retired. Beat them. Go Crew. Like, that is awesome. I was it, we said on the pod last year, I went to a Crew game last MLS season.
Oh, that's right.
My first game there, which is one of the original teams in the MLS, same stadium, awesome stadium, little outdated, but who the hell cares at this point? I mean,
the league's still growing.
Yeah, it's awesome. And that their owner wants to move them to
Austin.
Which,
mind you, is the place where Orlando City started as the Aztecs. And went, you know what? With all the 2 other soccer clubs in the state and football, American football being such a big deal here,
right?
Let's move. And they went to Orlando. Obviously, that was the right move for them.
Texas is American football all the way.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though I know we're talking about Houston,
Dallas, and yeah,
but I just don't get it. And I feel like I hope things work out. That they win the MLS Cup, because I feel like if they win the MLS Cup,
please,
that
what a story that'd be.
It'd be a huge story, and I don't think I hope that means that you would see the club stay.
I would certainly hope so. The point I was trying to make when I was up there,
because that would be the Mighty Ducks movie you'd want to see out of that whole situation.
The point I was trying to make when I was up there is, I still had very devoted fans. They don't play a bad style. They have some good players. Higuain.
Well, look, I don't want the MLS to be like the NFL. What I mean by that is, you remember the NFL closed the shop on the Cleveland Browns? Even though, yes, they were a terrible team at the time, they were still selling out their homes. People still showed up to the games, huge fan base, and they closed up shop and left. Again, obviously, they reopened, it brought the franchise back later, but I don't want the MLS to be that way. Because I think that's...
Why do it at this point?
Yeah. Also...
Why?
Yes. Why is this happening now when they knew that... And actually, all this news is breaking as they're making a run to the playoffs, too. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right, and this is the Crew, and them turning to the owners and going, F you guys.
Yeah. Jog on. That's my Hot Fuzz reference.
I was just referring to that the other day. We were at work, and I was talking about...
I don't know nothing about no skeletons.
We were talking about something in the area where we work. There's like some offices on one side, and there's some cubes there. And I'm in a cube kind of in the back, and I was over talking to people in the offices, and they were joking about like how I got there or whatnot. And I was like, well, the next time I'm just going to hop over the cubes. And I was like, but knowing me, I'll probably be like the guy in Hot Fuzz trying to hop over the fences and then just crash into a cube or a fence.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about no skeletons.
You haven't seen Bad Boys 2 and Point Break? Oh, great movie.
Terrible accents we do.
Oh, horrible. Worst accents ever.
But I'm with you. I mean, at this point, go Columbus. And you know what's crazy? I felt like when Orlando City first came into MLS, we had some early scrappy games with them, and I had an initial that's our rival. I don't like these guys, and now I just love them. I want them to just for the sake of
they beat probably our bigger rival.
Absolutely NYC.
Atlanta now is probably going to slot into our biggest, but NYCFC I think is bigger than the Crew, and Columbus have a good chance here. You miss Altidore Vasquez, Giovinco, first leg in Columbus. Say you get out of there with a 3-0 win. Toronto now has to put up some goals.
Yeah, they do.
So who knows? So they give themselves a good chance here. And how awesome of a story would that be what if it's Houston and Columbus?
Yeah, because Houston's
the city of Houston right now with the devastation from the hurricane, and then Columbus trying to save their city. If anything, it'd just be a lot of passion in those two teams. Probably not the most romantic fight. Well, I'm going to go.
MLS would rather have it be like in LA and in New York because of the TV. But yeah,
exactly. But this would probably be the romantics. You want to see this because They would play with a lot of passion. They would both play for their cities.
Our favorite thing with
That's what you want.
with the Premier League is we love the narrative, the stories of like the Bournemouth, the teams that scrap it. Huddersfield was another team very similar to Bournemouth to get into, or no, I'm sorry, Brighton Hove Albion I think has the story where they were in a similar situation and fought and now are in the top league. This is a chance for MLS to have a great narrative, and I hope Columbus. I'd like to see him go straight through.
I agree.
Sorry to anybody from Toronto listening right now.
Which
we're just
All In Sports that we just joined, I think, is a Canadian-based.
Yeah, it is. So
sorry.
We're now you're dropping the A bomb. Oh, they're gonna
Hold on. Okay.
Now they're just gonna get rid of us.
Yes,
completely.
But listen, I have a lot of respect for Canada. I am a big hockey fan. Bay Lightning, of course.
Well, now they've cut. Now they've definitely cut off.
Yeah. Sorry,
our first and only time on All In Sports.
But both those games, the Eastern Conference game would be played first on the 21st, so like that 7 p.m. on the East Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and then Seattle versus Houston, the first leg will be played the same night, about 10 o'clock on the East Coast. So should be some interesting games there coming up after the international break.
Absolutely. An international break. That sucks.
Oh, the worst time.
I've been working every weekend.
I know, right?
And I'm so excited for this upcoming weekend and international break. But on the upside,
I have 4 days off, and I gotta go through an international break.
On the upside, you and me have an Orlando Beer Festival VIP early entrance tickets that we got for the Pints for Parkinson's program that we went to their fundraiser, and we bid on the silent auction and won this, and I'm so excited to go. So we just got to find a couple of dates because, it looks like Ron is going to be stuck in Japan. I say stuck.
Yeah, stuck.
He's going to be hanging out eating,
right?
Awesome sushi
and beef.
Yeah, and crazy beef and
seeing the J League.
Yeah,
and indoor soccer.
And
doing some work.
And I guess he's working while he's over there.
Yeah, why not? Doing a little bit of that too.
But we got to find some people. We have to find some people to go with. So, it's not a bad weekend. I just wish we could have watched some matches in the morning and then gone to the
Exactly. I'll tell you what, if Matt, Jason in Atlanta, if there's any way you can make it down by Saturday, let us know ASAP.
Right.
If you can.
You might Matt and Jay?
Jay, sorry. Yeah. If you can.
Because
if not, no worries, but you guys have been...
I know, right?
From the start, you've been following. Thank you guys both very, very, very much. But if
that would actually be a ton of fun.
Yeah,
we would have called her. We would have said something earlier, but you can blame Ron. We didn't know he was going to get back like in 2 days. So, but I'm very excited to go to this Orlando Beer Festival and try some new stuff we haven't tried before. Speaking of things we haven't tried before, does that segue?
No,
I think the last thing we want to talk about is a little U.S. soccer's president situation.
We've talked a little bit about it. We've tried it.
We'd like to run, but they didn't accept our nomination.
I had a donkey and a mule that backed me.
I brought it up in the last pod though, because Winalda he threw his hat in the ring, and I said, "Hey, I like his platform," because he agreed with me because he and I talked about it. That's how I knew. But he agreed with me, and what his platform was moving MLS to or U.S. soccer in general to the international calendar with FIFA, and then Mr. Kyle Martino, a man I met in person, and even in person was just all at his hair. Yeah. And to be perfectly fair, at how cool and nice he was to a bunch of soccer nerds that rushed up to him when they saw him, and he was just super cool dude. I
have been pleasantly surprised with him. Pleasantly surprised.
And his podcast, the
He's
Deep Dive,
phenomenal.
Yeah.
His podcast is great. For being
that's all on a break right now.
Right, for being the only American pundit on the NBC Premier League coverage, he's wonderful.
Well, how about this? Let's just, whether he wins or not, just think, you're Kyle Martino. You had an opportunity to play for the U.S. men's team. You got to play professional soccer. Like, that's a cool life. Now you get this dream job of being this commentator, this pundit for
which a few weeks back on his pod he said he was not going to
enter the race. But he's working for NBC covering the Premier League. And then you're like, for whatever reason, whatever decisions went into it, he said, forget it. You know what? I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. And when you do, David Beckham and Thierry Henry write letters of recommendation for you.
More importantly,
like
Rebecca Lowe.
And Rebecca Lowe.
Boom.
That is, and
Done.
You know what was cool? NBC Sports, how quick they got behind him saying, hey, wish you the best.
On them.
You're on a hiatus, which obviously he'll be back if he doesn't win. But it's pretty cool.
And good for his family too, because and the reason I said not that I know his family or anything like that, but on his pod he basically said, I don't know if I can put the time into it. I'm going to leave my dream job, but it's going to be a lot of burden on my family as well. So this decision probably did not come easy from him. He's thought about it from all angles, but I would imagine he had to get the buy off from his wife and kids, and good on them to allow him to want to change the game in this country.
Well, and you brought up Matt from Atlanta, and he asked us on Twitter. He said, what do you guys think? Ronaldo, Martino, and I
was going to respond with the.
I only responded.
Just a coin being flipped in the air.
Exactly. My response was, I think it made our podcast a lot more interesting that we're about to record. Here's the thing. There's a lot of passion from both of them that I love and I like seeing. They're both former U.S. players. They both have a good international relationship with soccer in general. I mean, I know there's other candidates, but those are two people that if you told me either one of them won, I would be very excited.
I agree.
I'm sure things may get a little heated as not like real politics, but as they run for stuff. But I would bet you that if either one of them won, the other one would support that person very strongly.
I think so
because
too.
At the end of the day, they just want to see a change. I don't know everybody that's on this list. Obviously, I'm only really talking about Kyle and Eric Ronaldo. Not that I know them personally, but obviously we know them as people in the professional soccer world more so.
The other two that are probably the names people have heard, Steve Gans, he's an attorney in Boston, I believe, and then Paul Lapointe, who is an amateur league, UPSL Northeast Conference. I believe it's a indoor league.
And then the current U.S. Soccer Executive Vice President, Carlos
Cordero. That was just kind of announced, yeah.
He's the annoying one that if he wins, because it'll be the safe, we're changing things, but not really, because this is just a safe bet because he's the current. You know what I mean?
Right. And the other two are Paul Cagliari, he's a former U.S. men's national teams player as well, and Mike Winograd, who's also a attorney as well.
Both Martino and Ronaldo, again, it's not like they're running. Nobody on Twitter or the news is voting for them, obviously, but they put out their platforms, and I like both of them.
I heard an interview. It was on.
And I should say
the Max and Herd podcast, which is on ESPN with Ronaldo, and he talked about his platform and why and whatnot, and I really liked it.
Well, here at the end of the day,
genuine too.
I like Ronaldo's a lot as well. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, I also like Kyle Martino's platform. Here's what's important: if neither gentleman win, they are forcing the conversation to be had amongst everybody that will be running. Right? They're throwing those things out. Kyle Martino is saying a lot of things we got to change. The pay-to-play youth system is broken. It doesn't get us the best players.
Ronaldo's saying the same thing.
It gets the ones that can afford to come in. And Martino's saying, why are the women playing on crappy pitches when they are the champions that I would argue in the previous year spearheaded soccer continuing to move forward in the country? Like, let's have a little equality across the board here. If these guys don't win, and both platforms, they'll have to get talked about. And that's what's important.
And hopefully it pushes the other candidates. We're talking Martino and Ronaldo platforms. They're kind of the most prominent out there.
But change, I think,
needs
just got to happen.
Right. Change needs to be made. And how the game is managed in this country from top to bottom. And I think you said a very good word earlier, equality. It's U.S. soccer. That's not U.S. men's soccer. That's not U.S. women's soccer. It's U.S. soccer as a whole. It's kids soccer. It's female soccer. It's men's soccer. It's under-19 soccer. It's adult soccer, which Ronaldo said. It is U.S. soccer as a whole that we need to change the mentality.
Because if only one thing changes, then it all hinges on that one thing being successful or not, and the whole thing being pinned to it. It all has to change so that the culture overall changes around it. Right. Because right now, yes, were we all upset that, oh my gosh, the men didn't qualify, yabba, yabba, yabba. But you know what? On the other side of it, who do Arena have to pull from? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not doing a good job of catching up to the rest of the world and putting out great players. A good example would be to go to the flip side for the women's game. What I mean by that is U.S. decide to, more than most other countries, invest into the women's game. We destroy it in several international competitions, win a few World Cups. But in the last couple of World Cups and Olympics, other countries catching up because they've decided to invest in their women's teams, their national teams. And it pushes it better for everybody. Well, if these other countries could so quickly do this, Iceland for the men's team, their men's team is another great example. They invested the right way, turned their small nation around. They've the smallest nation ever,
smallest nation to
ever qualify for the World Cup. So it is doable. It is a doable thing. We have a ton of great athletes. We love athletics in this country. There's no reason that we shouldn't have more Christian Pulisic's. And we might discover that we are going to see more of them as we move forward. But they're right. I think the whole thing has got to change. It's not, if you just change one facet, then you literally hang the entire U.S. soccer on one facet as opposed to the overall picture.
And that could be what I think both of them are saying is the pay to play. Mm-hmm. Club soccer in this country
biggest change, yeah.
Kids play it early because it's cheap and they can run around. But the more you go up, and I've experienced this. My sister played club for years and years, and it's traveling, and you have to pay, and yada, yada, yada. Back in the 90s, it wasn't as expensive. Now it's hella expensive. Club soccer is expensive. So now what club soccer offers you is the ability to be looked at by colleges, by scouts, by international scouts. But you have to pay to be on those club teams. So how are you going to get the full range of talent that we have in this country? How are you going to get
we have a big country. To be fair to America compared to these other countries I just talked about.
Right.
We are so spread out compared to those countries.
Look at like your Gabriel Jesus's, your Neymars that have come from these poverty areas of Brazil and whatnot.
It was their chance to get out.
Right.
So that means you play with a passion that you can't pay for.
Right. They play on the street with a ball stitched out of cement. I mean, it's
damn. That's why you can kick the ball so hard.
No, but they play the game bare feet in the street with a ball that is 14 years old because they want to play until there's no more light. And even then, can we get a flashlight out there? Can we get a car light out there? You don't have that mentality. And part of that is because, okay, you can do that, but if your parents can't pay to play on this club team that it gets you, you're basically playing for the travel, the bags, the kits, and all of that. Who gives a shit about that stuff?
Right.
Get the talent out there and get them seen because we have quadruple billion people in this country. There's talent out there.
I didn't know we'd grown that much since the last
census. Cement balls and quadruple. No, but I mean, being a little bit, I'm exaggerating here, but it's stuff like that will slowly help shape the game. Is it going to happen overnight? No. But you kind of take away that paid to play, and you start to get talent that you may not have seen before because of pocketbooks. The game is not about pocketbooks. The higher up you go, yes, you make tons of money, but that's just in everything in life. Let's see what every facet of this country, what kind of talent's there, and who really loves the game and wants to play the game.
It's my favorite thing that's on both of their platforms. So
and to be fair, it's probably on Steve Gans's platform. It's probably on. I mean, Paul Lapointe is an amateur league manager, so he obviously cares about the game on the lower levels of soccer. So it's probably on a lot of theirs.
And as you noted here at this time, Sunil Gulati has not decided if he's running or not. That's because he's just being slimy Jabba the Hutt. He'll wait and whatever. I'm so over that situation.
So who's the Luke Skywalker and the Han Solo?
Yeah, well, let's see. I feel like Martino's got to be Luke, right? Luke had that hair.
So good hair.
Good
set of hair on him.
Yeah. I mean, Harrison Ford had good hair too, but Luke had that blonde locks like flowing in the wind in the first Star Wars. I feel like Kyle Martino's got the good hair.
Bubba the Fett. Carlos?
I don't know.
The vice executive are to Gulati.
So I feel like the Emperor is Darth Vader Gulati, and is the Emperor like wait, who's the former FIFA president?
Who's no longer Katz.
Yeah.
Chuck Blazer.
Chuck Blazer was. No. Oh my God, that's hysterical.
King Katz in his apartment in New York or whatever.
He was the villain from Inspector Gadget, who had the cat. He was the claw. Gadget.
Go catch it hard.
We hadn't gotten any 80s references in, and bam, we got them right at the end of the show.
I wish they would remake that somehow. Because didn't they come out with a new, like, DuckTales or something?
They did come with a new DuckTales with Dave Tennant, Doctor Who, as the voice of Scrooge McDuck. Yeah. It's wonderful. He's such a good duck.
There's a different accent from the Isles up there.
It's a different accent, isn't it? Scrooge McDuck. Yeah, we even got
say welcome to the Rock.
Like welcome. Well, no, that's welcome to the Rock.
There you go.
Some things in here don't react well to bullets. Yes, I'm Russian with a Scottish accent.
Yes.
from
On for Red October.
Yeah. Oh God. I'm just gonna keep talking like this. I'm from Moscow.
He definitely works for the KGB at that point.
Yeah. Well, for our first episode that was going to all in sports talk, I'm glad we managed to at the end work in some pop culture references.
It's the usual shenanigans.
They had Ron threw us off in his world travels in Japan. We didn't get to there, as it were. I think that kind of wraps us up. Sorry for taking a week off. Work was crazy, and there was just no way we could all get together. Matter of fact, I left work early today to take a nap before you even came over so I could function correctly because it's been a long 10-day stretch at work or whatever it was.
I'm on day 8 of 10.
So, well, I'm happy to be back in here and chatting soccer, my friend.
Oh, absolutely.
Ron,
awesome beer, dude.
If you listen in Japan, happy you had you on. We miss you, but, have fun. Careful eating all the blowfish. Make sure you get the good chefs.
And if you do get me the Kashima antler jersey, get it the largest size because I'd be the biggest person in Japan.
Oh, you'd be super popular over there. Yeah. You're so tall. Yeah.
Just a giraffe.
When I was there, we had a friend that joined us at work, and he was 6'5", and he was like a celebrity wherever we walked, man. They thought he was the coolest dude. I was like, man, I'm chopped liver sitting over here at my 5 foot 10 and a half, 11, whatever. And this dude, he was, they were just like ecstatic by him. He got us into all the cool bars.
I gotta go to Japan then.
Yeah, man.
What the hell am I doing in my life?
But we'll have Ron back maybe soon. We'll see how that's going. If you want to find us and chat with us on the Twitter, find us at Brutiful Game. Our website's thebrutifulgame.com. You can chat with us on Facebook as well. We're on Instagram. Untapped, that's the big place to find us because we want to see what beers you're sharing, and we'll share beers on there as well, new stuff to discover. And also, if you've got a beer that you think we can get a hold of to review on the show, please hit us up with that.
Absolutely.
Am I leaving one out? Is that all of them?
Facebook.
Yeah, no, I hit the Facebooks. I think it's got them. At some point,
we actually
I'll write all of these down because I always have to think about them at the end of the show. But no, I think we're good to go. We have a few koozies and magnets left. If anyone is interested, I know we got some of the All In Sports folks listening. But if you want to hop on iTunes and leave us a review for our podcast, it'd be huge for us. And if you do that, just take a screenshot of us and hit us hit us on Twitter or Facebook, whatever. And then we'll get in touch with you and get a koozie and Brutiful Game magnet, a Brutiful Game koozie and Brutiful Game magnet out to you.
Definitely a koozie. I think we're. How are we looking on magnets?
That's true. Guaranteed koozie. Yeah. Question mark on the magnet. We might be getting a little low, but that means if you get, we at least probably have a couple left.
Yes, we do. We have a few. And for those of you that have left comments,
oh man,
yeah, thank you. There's like 19 comments right now, which is.
A big wonderful thank comments. You because one of my favorite things is a lot of the reviews we didn't, again, just like we did just now, we're not telling you how to leave a review or what to say.
If you want to say we suck, you're a bunch of imbeciles, A, you're entirely true on that. Yeah. But B, if that's what you want to leave, thank you, because that helps us. Because we are trying to just improve.
And I'll still send you a koozie. But the folks that have left stuff, I really appreciate it because a lot of people have summed up the show in a way that I wanted us to be represented. You can get analysts and all sorts of folks on ESPN and everywhere else, and they're great. So we didn't set out to do something like that. We just wanted to be three guys hanging out, having a good time, cracking beers, laughing with you as we chat soccer, and especially if you're somewhere where that is hard to find, maybe you don't have a local soccer club or whatever. It's been really cool that is how people are receiving us. So we do appreciate the reviews.
Thank you.
And again, like I said, if you do one, let us know. Hit us up with a screenshot of it, and we will. We'll get if you don't do the social media, the brutifulgame@gmail.com. You can email it there, and we'll get a koozie out to you, and perhaps even a magnet. And maybe down the road, some cooler things. I got some things I'm working on little plans, little things I'm working on. Some other cool
like
merchant
tanks
things
and fun stuff.
Like a tank?
Yeah, like a
Like an Abrams, like with the track wheels and I'll take it because I don't tank tops. I see enough of those in Florida.
No, we need to go big.
We're gonna go
Beautiful
big.
game helicopter.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
you just have to. What was that Pepsi thing they did years ago? If you do 200,000 points, you get a Harrier jet, and they got in trouble because the guy did it. Yeah. Well, that's our 90s bad advertising pod. We'll be doing after this.
My favorite one was a Pepsi one with Bob Dole sitting there and talking about Britney Spears or something. Oh, that was great. That's a classic.
We're going to do a whole pod on Pepsi podcast later. All right. Well, we'll have an international break and some World Cup qualifiers to talk about next time we have a conversation.
And there are some fun.
It's
basically the playoff games to get into the World Cup. So you have like
Australia,
Northern Ireland in it, Australia's in it, Honduras is in it, Ireland's in it, Italy I think's in it too. I got to double check that. But some good teams that be going head to head. I think it's a home and away from the playoffs to get into Moscow 2018, or not Moscow, or Russia 2018.
Yep. So we'll have some more international football to talk about, and perhaps some MLS news as teams are already starting to make some roster moves as the season's wrapping up for most people, and we will talk to you all next week. All right, my friend. Here we go. Always a pleasure. Love the beer. Cherish the game. The brutal game.
Let's launch it.
This beer's awesome.